No black girls allowed on Rusty Island. Here's why. Jeff gave in at some point and told him, yes, I'll find some friends. Jeff wanted young, fresh girls.
Young, fresh girls, huh? Guess we ain't young and fresh unless we 5. Guess we 5. Boop, 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 boop. I can't close my eyes too long because then I'll go to sleep. Hi. Let's get this carrot juice to wake me up. Let's drink this carrot juice to wake me up. Happy Black History Month. Make sure you guys share the live. Happy Black History Month. Say it back. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm trying a microphone on TikTok. No, I didn't get no sleep last night. I didn't go to bed at 5 o'clock. Because I was finishing up the book and putting it on the platforms. 350 pages. So that's down from the 800 that I had. So I had to break it into 3 different volumes. Okay. Are you guys hearing me okay on TikTok? Let me know in the comments if you can hear me clearly because I'm trying a new microphone today. So let me know if you can hear me, please. I just wanted to see if this was going to be clearer because of the fans in the background. I sound a little funny. What's funny mean? You're gonna have to tell me what that means. Do I sound funny? Or do I sound clear? If I don't sound clear, I'll take it out. A little low on the volume. Is there a volume setting? That's like I'm in a funnel. Well, then fuck it then. What's the point of that? I will turn this sucker off. I don't have the time. No, don't worry about it, Jordy. We'll fix it another day.
You turned on both things, right?
Yeah, I just turned that off and I turned this off. So let me know if you can hear me clear now. Put the mic to my mouth. It was on my collar. So just let me know if you can hear me okay right now. So just turn the microphone off. My voice is good on there? Good. Better? Okay. We'll just leave it here. We'll just leave it here for now. We'll play around with the technology tomorrow. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the bandwidth today. Okay. So share the live, please, and tell me where you guys are watching me from. Okay. So I have been over the past week very busy doing the formatting and stuff on the book. The book is out. And when I tell you, even last night, I was still crying. Get out from under this desk. Get out from under this desk. Leave me alone, Fats. Volume 2 and Volume 3 is not going to be as emotional for me, I don't think, because it's talking about what we are dealing with present day, and it just makes you aware of what it is that we're dealing with present day. But all of that past stuff, these numbers better get up on this on this TikTok platform, these numbers better get right the fuck on up. Because I will start this shit right the fuck over. Okay? Yes, he can love me another time. Fats can love me all day another time. Okay? I don't have time right now. I'm trying to get in and get out and go to bed. Okay? That's all I'm trying to do. Because y'all haven't seen me in like a week. So I felt like I need to come on here today. Let me tell y'all what to expect. Okay? It's heavy shit. Some of y'all ain't ready. Some of y'all love to go through life. Okay? Some of y'all like to go through life taking the blue pill. And I get it. Right? I get that you don't want to know what the fuck's going on. Y'all seem to be way more invested in this EP Island PDF shit than y'all are in our own actual history, which is that. This is why none of the shit that is happening right now and it's all over this platform about them motherfuckers doing what they do, because they've been doing what they do for the last 400 and 500 years. They've been doing what they are doing to them. They've been doing that shit to us for the last 500 years. So when you see these videos where they're like, oh, he didn't want any black girls on the island, they've already had their fill of black girls. They had their fill of black girls the entire time we were enslaved. So y'all acting like, oh my God, they didn't want to have any black girls. They have had black girls for 500 years. That's old news. You know why? Because white girls were protected. We were never protected. We were never even expected to survive. We were only expected to endure. So I'm going to start this live over because these numbers need to be higher than what they are. Because what I'm talking about is what is going to free you from this constant stress you have in your body. The only way you are going to be able to heal yourself is to know the fucking truth. And we have never been taught the truth. We've only had this glossed over, romanticized view of enslavement in America. And that is so fucking far from the truth. They've made slave genre movies where they romanticize the interracial couplings of these motherfuckers. You can't have no equal romantic involvement between black and white people without putting into context the fucking power dynamic behind it. If you are put in a position where your life depends on whether or not you give consent, you don't have no fucking consent. Mind you, that applies to the men, the women, and the children. So all this shock that y'all have from these files and all that bullshit, we've already experienced all of that for centuries with no account. Y'all are so shocked by no one's being held accountable. Nobody has been held accountable for 500 fucking years. Why are y'all so shocked by that? Because it's happening to white bodies and not black? Is that why y'all so shocked? Because the only people that are allowed to get accountability in this country is white people? That's why you're shocked. Because it can happen to our brown and black bodies all day long. Y'all don't give a fuck. But the minute it happens to y'all, oh my goodness. Clutching of pearls, clutching of pearls. All of my pearls are being clutched. Share the live, tap the screen, and comment where you're viewing me from. Jordan, did you open the window? Then you need to open the blinds also, because I do not want Fats tearing my blinds up. Please and thank you. The more you comment, the more people will view this video. Okay. Instagram, I need y'all to comment because I get tired of coming on fucking Instagram and y'all ain't saying nothing. Y'all just sitting there like, I got a treat for y'all. I got a treat for everybody. I ain't gonna talk about that till tomorrow, but today we're gonna talk about this book. And now I'm hyped up. I done hyped myself up. I was tired, now I'm not. Only because I just, all the stuff that I have researched and all of these rabbit holes that I've gone down and all of these documents that I viewed and these ledgers and these journals and all of that shit. And for y'all to be out here acting like, oh, this is so rare. This isn't the America we know, blah, blah, blah. But this has been the motherfucking America since their asses came here. Not since we arrived. Let's deal with that big lie first, shall we? You want to deal with that big lie first? The first big lie to dispel is that we were all brought here in chains. That's the first big lie. Because we were not. We were here for thousands of years before they arrived. And the difference between my book and a lot of the books that you're going to find out there is my shit directly connects what happened to us to what we are still dealing with in our bodies right now. Why we have diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure and anxiety and stress through the fucking roof, because it's still living in our bodies. And if we never uncover the truth, it will remain in our bodies. And they know that. This is why they've never taught us the accurate truth or the accurate history. Is because they know that. Go on my page, Miss Robin. That's where you'll find it. And the thing about it is I got to talk in code just so I can tell y'all about this shit, because they don't want me telling y'all where it's at. Don't nobody have no weak genes but them. The only people that have weak genes is white people. Blue genes are stronger. Blue genes are stronger than white genes. You can say whatever is incorrect all you want to. This book is also for y'all. Here's the difference between my book and whatever it is that you've read in the past or what you've heard on the internet. White people don't know their history either. You don't know why you behave the way you behave. You don't know how being the oppressor, and let me clarify that. Only the white elites were oppressors. So for all you poor whites that are out here glorifying owning blacks, you never owned black people. You were actually fighting side by side with us. Because you were just as poor and overrun and used up as we were. I know they got y'all thinking that you're better, but that all of that was created for your benefit, for you poor whites to have some self-esteem. They created the word white. Just like they created the word black. So this book tells you both sides. So now black people will know what the fuck happened to white people, where their psychosis comes from, where their psychopathy comes from. Now you'll know where it comes from. It is in no way, shape apologizing for their fucking behavior, but it's letting you know where the fuck it comes from, so that right now in present day, you will know what the fuck you're looking at. And so now that changes your perspective of these motherfuckers. They have no power. It's all an illusion. It was all created. It's all a construct. And it's all crumbling. And that's why they're so upset. It's all crumbling. Okay. So all of the stuff we didn't know anything about, it's in that book. It's in that book. Okay. All of the stuff in volume 1 is about the past, how we got here. Okay. How we got here physically, medically, right? How is it that Black people have more diseases than everyone else? All of that is underlying stress. However, it's too simple. It's an oversimplification to just say it's stress. The name of the book is Both Sides of the Whip. It's out today. Look at my page and you'll see where to get it. Okay. To get to my page, click my name right there at the top where it says The Only Mama Trey. When the white thing pops up, hit my face. Go there and get it. It's 350 pages of information you need to have, Black, white, and otherwise, because you white folks don't know your history. Y'all know less about your history than you know about Black people. Y'all seem to know so much about us, but you don't even know about you. You don't even know where you came from. You don't even know how you got here. I do. The book tells you. Because it wasn't, you know how old boy be like, you need to send us the best of the best. The immigrants need to be the best of the best. They sent the worst of the worst to America. They put the worst on the worst of the worst on the boats and sent them out to sea. Good luck. The worst of the worst. That's who came here diseased and starved and all these. That's who arrived on the shores. It wasn't these motherfuckers. They made you believe that these motherfuckers was coming with some money and all that. They came here to seek their fortunes. They came here with less than nothing. They came here with less than nothing and stole everything. Everything. And I know Constantine the Great. It's so sad. It's so sad that I'm about to air you motherfuckers out. It's so sad that I'm about to air y'all motherfuckers out. You didn't conquer shit. You didn't conquer shit. Your family came here diseased. Let's read some excerpts. Shall we read some excerpts from the book? Shall we? You ain't doing nothing. That's fine. Here, let me save you. Let me save you the problem of your life being uprooted. I'm gonna save you. Good luck. I don't have the time today for silliness. I don't have the time for the silliness. White folks y'all gonna have a huge problem because, as I said, I'm going to air your shit all the way the fuck out. The only reason that it needs to be done is because we are continuing to live in a lie. Okay? And the longer we live in the lie, the longer we're going to stay sick. So we have become a medical gold mine for these people. Yes, they hate us so badly, but it's all jealous. Listen, it all stems from what's in the book. Okay? They were literally taught how to hate us. Hang on. Let me go to my files. They were taught. They were just as brainwashed as we were. Because what people fail to believe, or what people fail to take into consideration, is before white people came to America, it was all about class. So you keep hearing the words class warfare, and da 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 da, right? Well, Europe was nothing but class. There was nothing to distinguish Europeans from other Europeans other than hierarchy, because they're all white. You will see this in African nations. Why? Because they're all black. So when these white people came here, how did white people come up? They changed the hierarchy. It went from class to race. So whereas you were a poor Englishman with no possibility of upward mobility, you got your ass on a boat, poor as dirt, sailed to a new place, stole people's land, enslaved the people that were already here, and then wiped out all of the information connecting those people to their land rights. So because America didn't have a hierarchy set up, they would just see land, and because it wasn't set up the way it was set up in Europe, they had no concept of somebody already owns this land. Simply because we did not operate the way they operated. So what was the biggest thing that was imported into America? European values. How they did things in Europe is how they were started to do things here. Now, when we always hear about them coming to America, they were looking for a new opportunity. They were looking for religious freedom. They were looking for this. They were looking for money. They were looking for money. They were looking for opportunity. They were looking for a come up. Trying to find the right. Where's volume 1? Let me see. They were looking for a come up. Okay. All they cared about was upping their station in life. That's it. That's all they cared about. Okay. So when they came here and they saw all this land and they saw all of this opportunity, they started, first of all, what they did was surveil us. You know how you sit around and you can feel them watching you no matter where the fuck you are. There is always a set of motherfucking white eyeballs on you. No matter where the fuck you are, no matter what the fuck you're doing, there's always a set of motherfucking white eyeballs on you. So they sat around and watched us. They watched how we moved. They watched what we did. They watched how we ate. They watched how we did everything. And so their first order of business was, they seem to be living off the land. They have their own farming culture. They've gotten this thing down pat. They're thriving. They're healthy. They're more healthy than we are, as a matter of fact. So in order for us to easily conquer them, what do we have to do? The number one thing was to destroy our food source. To control our food source. And that's what they did. So they destroyed how we were eating. Okay. When you go from eating certain things and you're living off the land and you're eating fresh foods, you're eating fresh meat, because you're only killing what it is that you can eat, right? You're not killing a bunch of stuff to store it in salt, right? You're killing it fresh. You're fishing today. You're hunting today. And that's what life was for us before the ships. Hold on, I gotta find the volume 1. Volume So they disrupted our food sources, right? So then after that, hold on, I'm just going to read you guys. Let me read to you why I had to do. I'm just going to read to you the first section. Okay. So I preface this book by telling you how to read this book, because this is not some historically chronological book. If we did that, it would have been fucking boring as hell. Okay. So I'm telling you how to read this book. This book is not organized in a way history is usually taught. It does not move neatly from one date to the next, or from one war to another, or from one law to the next. That choice is intentional. Okay? The body does not remember centuries by date. It remembers them by sensation, by stress, by adaptation, and by survival. Okay? The way that Black people are set up today, and what is at the root of our health issues, is that our bodies are still in survival mode. So again, think of it like a car. Whereas other people's nervous systems will be in neutral or will be in park, ours is constantly in drive. So if ours is constantly in drive, what do you think that does to our engine? If theirs is idling or in park, it's just chilling, right? Ours stays in drive, and sometimes in overdrive. That's what our bodies are used to doing for centuries. The problem is, no one told us that. The second problem is, no one told us where it came from. The third problem is, we have no context. Okay? And let's just use Black History Month as an example. Black History Month has been just a month of Black achievements we didn't know anything about. And it always seems to start at slavery, as if we did not exist before slavery. That was done on purpose. That was done on purpose. Even the way they allow us to celebrate the month that's supposed to be for us is still a manipulation. Still a manipulation. So hold on. The body does not remember things centuries by dates. This book is written from that place. Why this book reframes history. Much of what we've been taught about race, slavery, and power has been filtered through institutions that were never designed to tell the full truth, only the manageable one. As a result, many lived realities were minimized, fragmented, renamed, or erased altogether. Are you with me over here on this? Are you here? Are you with me over here on the YO? Speak up if you are. Over time, communities began to carry truths that were not always preserved in textbooks, but instead passed through oral memory, family patterns, cultural intuition, and more recently, grassroots teaching spaces. I got something for y'all. For all of you history educators, and for all of you Black folks that love to educate your people, I need you to DM me, because I have something for you. I have something for you. Just DM me. If that is your passion. We had so many people the other day that said that they love teaching and that they love to enlighten and whatever words y'all love to use. I need you to get in contact with me immediately. Okay? Just shoot me a DM. These teachings are often expressed in simple dramatic language, not because they are careless, but because they are trying to communicate scale, impact, and survival in ways that formal history often avoids. Okay? So this book does not treat those teachings as literal slogans to be repeated, nor does it dismiss them as misinformation. Instead, it does something different. It listens for what they are pointing to. On grassroots teachings throughout this book, you may encounter phrases or ideas that you have heard circulating in the community conversations, social media, or independent teaching spaces. These are not presented as isolated facts or absolute claims. They are presented in interpretive frameworks. Ways people have tried to make sense of inherited pain, persistent patterns, and unanswered questions about the body, identity, and survival. Okay. You said sharecropping was manipulation. It's all been manipulated. Everything. Share the live and tap the screen and comment. Everything that we have been taught is a lie. Every single fucking history book that we have been taught from has been a fucking lie. And when the conqueror is allowed to write history, what the fuck you think they're gonna write? You think the history is going to be accurate? When these teachings appear, this book will do three things: clarify what the teaching is trying to explain; two, separate metaphor from mechanism; and number three, anchor the insight in documented historical, biological, or legal patterns. This approach allows truth to be explored without sensationalism and without erasure. Why the body is central in this book. This book asks a different primary question than most histories, not simply what happened, but what did these events do to the body and what stayed? Why do stress responses repeat across generations? Why do certain illnesses cluster? Why does fear persist long after danger has passed? You said, thank you for this information, sister. I'm still eating for my blood type. Yay! Well, now it's time for you to go deeper. Eating according to your blood type is the tip of the iceberg. That is going to be the fastest way for you to start the healing in your body. But in order for us to regulate our nervous systems and to get them out of drive and to get them in park, you need to know what the fuck happened to you. That's like you have experienced this traumatic experience when you were a child. Your mind will block that out in order for you to survive the rest of your life, but that trauma still lives in your body. So your body remembers what your mind is trying to cover up. So what's been happening all of these decades of them teaching us stuff, our minds are open to this alternative narrative. But the whole time we're being taught this shit, we're like, our body's like, the math ain't quite mathing. That's why we've always had this sense of, I don't fully trust these motherfuckers. That's why we've always had this. Sounds good, but it ain't quite. Just like the Adam and Eve story. Right? Because you're thinking, yeah, it's a nice story. Sounds cool. But how, Sway? How the fucking two motherfuckers populate the entire world? Right? So, why do some patterns survive even when the original conditions are gone? These are not moral questions. These are physiological questions. and they cannot be answered by timelines alone. So, what this book is and is not. This book is an exploration of injury and adaptation. It is also an examination of power and its psychological effects. It is a study of how systems leave biological footprints. It is a bridge between history and the nervous system and lived experience. This book is not an attack. It is not a denial of complexity. It is not a replacement of one myth with another. That's not what it is. It is also not a demand that the reader accept every interpretation without thought. Hey, Shivani. Hey, my people, I missed y'all. I had to go dark. Y'all know how I do when I'm creating something, I got to go dark. You are invited to read critically, reflectively, and with curiosity. Okay? This is not a book that says, here's some history, go figure it out. No. It also gives you practical shit. Now, remember, this is volume 1. So volume 2 is going to have the modern day shit that we're dealing with. How that stuff in history only was just rebranded. Nothing in America is new. Everything in America has been done over and over and over and over and over again. And the one thing that America is an expert at, it is rebranding. That's it. This is how they win over and over and over again. But this is also how our bodies are like, this looks familiar. We've been through this before. They're calling it something else, but it's the same fucking result. Our bodies know, whereas our minds are constantly being tricked. And this is on both sides of the whip. This ain't just the oppressed, it's also the oppressor that is being played. And the only reason that the oppressor is going along with the bullshit is because they have this little secret contract that as long as they go along with the bullshit, they are going to be protected from the bullshit. And as y'all can see right now with what's going on, this is why they're taking this shit so hard about this Renee Good and Alex Preddy. It's because they're like, hold up. I thought we had a contract. I love you too. Wait a minute. I thought we had a contract. The white guy that was pure by ICE last week. The ICU nurse for the VA. They even did him like they do so many of our black brothers and sisters by pewing him and then planting shit on his body. They even did that too. So these white folks are like, hold up. I thought we were exempt from all of that. I thought that was a black-brown issue. I thought that was them, not us. That's why they're in such an uproar now. What are we going to do? Oh my God. I thought this was nigga shit. I thought this was only nigga shit. So, note to the reader, some sections may feel familiar, others may feel uncomfortable, and a few may feel clarifying in ways you did not expect. If at any point you find yourself thinking, I've never heard it explained like this before, this is not an accident. It means you are encountering a perspective that centers the body, not just the archive. This book does not ask you to abandon what you know. It asks you to expand how you understand it. How to move through this work. You do not need to read this book quickly. In fact, it may be better if you did not. Pause when needed. Notice what resonates and notice what resists. Just like you're going to have white folks come here and resist what it is that I'm saying, because they have literally been brainwashed to resist truth. It's documented. They have been brainwashed to resist any truth when it comes from something that this is why they get so defensive. This is why they get so defensive. The minute you bring up race, they throw every gaslighting term they can at you. And I also put the 50 most used gaslighting terms in the book. The book is called Both Sides of the Whip, and it is out today. Just go to my page. FBA cannot be deported anyways. That's what you think. Y'all kill me acting like these people can't do whatever the fuck they want to do. Y'all act like these motherfuckers can't do what the fuck they want to do. They out here rounding up natives. And you think that foundational Black Americans are going to be safe from that shit? They have a bigger problem with foundational Blacks than they do with natives. Because natives are all on fucking reservations. Natives ain't done shit. What the fuck? Name one thing Native Americans have contributed to America. I'll wait. Besides casinos and liquor stores, just name what Native Americans, the Siberians, what have they contributed? Let me turn on my tea because it's gonna be hot. Let me turn on my tea. Y'all got y'all tea? Y'all got y'all tea? I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what the fuck Native Americans have done. And why do they feel so fucking entitled to anything? Right. We ain't safe. Well, I don't know why y'all think we are exempt from the bullshit. We are the most valuable to snatch the fuck up. They're just working their way towards us. That's all. One final thought. Survival always leaves a trace. Sometimes that trace is written in documents, sometimes is written in law, and sometimes is written in the body. This book is about learning how to read all three. Okay? So the question that I had the most is, how is it that truth heals the body? Because everybody's always like, oh, truth. Well, I need to know specifically, how does it heal us? Right? Because it's not just about knowing this. One thing I cannot stand is a smart motherfucker that don't do nothing. Like, what's the fucking point of being brilliant if you're not doing something with that fucking brilliance? Well, knowledge is power. No. Applied knowledge is power. I hate a motherfucker that knows everything but don't do nothing. You know all of this shit, but you ain't doing nothing with it. What is the point? What's the point? Your head's just getting bigger. You just like motherfucking bobblehead. That nigga smart. Look how big his motherfucking head is. Learning the truth heals us because the nervous system cannot fully heal from a lie. If our nervous system isn't able to connect the truth with what we are feeling, it is never going to heal up. Okay. The truth is not in our mind. The truth is in our body. So they can tell us all the shit they want to tell us. They can give us all these lies and this false fucking history, but our bodies are still going to be like, yeah, that don't make sense though. Like the math literally is not mathing. Perfect example is where them boats at? You said 12 million people sailed across the Atlantic. Well, where them boats at? What you never did was tell us that only 388,000 Africans were brought to North America. You never said that, right? Because that's clarity. Because if we knew that, then we would be adding the math up like, hold the fuck up. So if only 388,000 Africans were imported to this country, how the fuck did we become millions? Forced reproduction. Or we were already here. Both of those two things they never talk about. Both of those two things they never bring up in conversation. So the body is always listening, even when the mind is confused, silenced, or miseducated. Let me break this down in a few layers. Number one, the truth stops the body from blaming itself. Once we know where our problems came from, then we stop blaming ourselves for the problem. Let's direct this back to where it began, our health, right? You go see the doctor is taught to gaslight you. Okay? So you go into the doctor and the doctor's like, oh, you have high blood pressure, right? You ask them, well, how the fuck did I get high blood pressure? Maybe you don't talk to your doctor the way we do. Okay. How the fuck did I get high blood pressure? Oh, it runs in your family. Oh, genetics, right? Those are the two gaslighting phrases they always pull out of their little white jacket pocket. Every time. Well, how did we genetically get there? Yeah, they told me that too. How did we genetically get there? Because you're saying I was born this way, that this is something I inherited, right? So even in them being as vague as they are, even our bodies are like, maybe I was eating too much salt. Maybe I should have been on a diet. Maybe I should have. Ooh. So now you have internalized the gaslighting. Because now you're thinking, what could I have done better to escape this diagnosis? Well, you can only do better when you have the right information, right? The medical industry is also complicit in making us sick and keeping us sick. Complicit. Hold on. For generations, Black people were told you're naturally sick. High blood pressure runs in your race. You're just angry, lazy, or non-compliant. Shivani, where you at? I know you've heard all of these. Right? When you don't know the truth, the body internalizes shame. But when you learn this came from centuries of terror, food deprivation, forced labor, sexual violence, medical abuse, and constant survival stress, something shifts. The nervous system finally says, oh, so it's not me as an individual. I adapted to what was going on around me. Good night. See you next time. Yep, shame is used to keep you in a box and to keep you silent. The way that they have been able to keep these things going for generation after generation is our silence. Because when you are ashamed of your behavior, you don't talk about it. Right? And if we don't talk about it, we don't find that everyone is experiencing the same shit. Because you're ashamed to talk about it and you're ashamed to bring it up, you don't find out that everybody in your family is experiencing the same thing. You don't find out that everybody in your community is experiencing the same thing. You don't begin to put the fucking pieces together of the puzzle like, what in the fuck? It ain't just me. It's us. So the doctor will tell us, oh, it runs in your race and all this, that, and the other, but how and why? That's what both sides of the whip tells you, the how and the why. Okay? So when you realize I adapted to my environment, I adapted to what I was thrust into, that moment alone starts to lower your cortisol. Because it takes away the shame. And when you take away the internal shame, it automatically stops your cortisol from being high. Now, remember, our cortisol triggers disease in the body. Our allostatic, there's something in our body called an allostatic system. The allostatic system is what controls our stress hormones. Black people have a higher allostatic load, which means we are carrying even more stress and anxiety than other races of people. And that is what began my descent into our history and how we got here. Both sides of the whip is a culmination of that research that led to this, to led to that, to led to this, and took me all the way back to the beginning. Because I'm just that person. I want to know, how the fuck did I get here? That's like if you're going on a trip and the map is telling you one thing and you end up in a totally different place, you're going to look at that fucking map like, well, how the fuck did I get here? Right? You put the shit in your GPS. You have a map. You are following the directions. You're doing every left turn and every right turn that they tell you to do, and you end up in a totally different place. Aren't you going to look at this GPS like, what the fuck? How did I get over here when I'm supposed to be over there? So all of this gaslighting that has been done on us for decades when it comes to food and diets and all this shit that the doctors put us on doesn't even touch the tip of the iceberg as to solving our problems at all, because all they care about is managing our symptoms, because that's where the money is. Healing us is not where the money is. Keeping us on those meds is where the money is. Okay? So the truth removes self-attack. And that is healing. That's the number one step to healing. When you stop attacking yourself, remember when I told y'all that your mind and your body is not on one accord, that y'all are always fighting each other? You're always fighting each other because your mind is saying one thing and your body is saying another thing. Because your body knows the truth and your mind is hiding from it. Your mind is like, I don't know what to believe. I have so much. Number 2, truth gives the nervous system a story that makes sense. Okay? Hi. Truth gives the nervous system a story that makes sense. Trauma that has no meaning stays trapped in the body. But when the brain understands why your grandmother was hypervigilant, why your mother stored fat around her belly, why you default to stress, control, and exhaustion, then the nervous system finally organizes the trauma. And then this is called coherence in trauma science. Now your body and your brain are coming into one accord. It's starting to understand what happened. So when the story makes sense, the vagus nerve calms, the blood pressure drops. So when I tell y'all that this is all the things that I have experienced over these weeks of writing this book, that I have cried and I've gone through all of these different phases of depression, and just because I am an empath, it's almost like I have been there with my ancestors, like experiencing this shit first fucking hand. Just because my imagination is so fucking vivid when it comes to this information, I have cried. I was even crying last night putting the finishing touches on this shit, just because they're so out of frustration for not knowing, out of frustration of being manipulated, out of frustration of just, I hate when motherfuckers play me dumb or keep me in the dark or hide the truth. You got vitamins today. You took your chill about 30 minutes ago. I know you feel good. You said I can barely keep your eyes open. I told you. When I take chill, I take it at night because it helps me to sleep. And then you wake up tomorrow and your body feels more relaxed. So you then go through your day more relaxed. You've gotten that good night's rest, and then you start your day without that high cortisol and without that high blood sugar. Okay, because this is why most people, they play in your face. That's the word. That's the phrase I'm looking for. Just play in your face. Okay, this is why most people have heart attacks in the morning. Okay, let me put chill up on the screen so y'all can get some. Hold on. Let me put chill up on the screen. And we have a Black History Month sale, of course. So it's 30% off chill. And hold on, I'm still trying to figure this shit out. I don't want to add it to cart. Oh, it's actually on sale for woo, we ain't gonna make no money. We ain't never gonna make no goddamn money. Add. Product is added. Okay, and then I push this. And then pin. Okay, here we go. Move. There we go. We ain't gonna make no damn money. Jory just wants us to be poor. He done put the damn chill on sale for $27.99. He just wants us to be poor. Anywho, I'm just here to help my people. Go on over there and get it. He said, no, he just wants us to be healthy. God, can't we just be rich and y'all be healthy at the same time? Look. God damn it. Gosh darn it. Why can't we be rich? Why can't I be rich? God damn it. Don't let all these stupid people be rich all the time. Y'all be elevating these dumb motherfuckers all the time. Y'all better load up on that shit. Wow. Y'all better load up on it. Wow, it's $27. When the fuck has it ever been $27? Anywho, while you're over there, get your book. Hold on. There's more. So once your body knows the truth, once we have coherence, which is a trauma science term, right? Also, not only does your blood pressure drop, but your digestion improves. Who would have known that our digestive issues come from our fucking slave history and the history of oppression? I take it at night. You can take it whenever you want to. If you're in the middle of an anxiety attack, you can take it. If you want to take it in the morning, I take it at night because remember, everyone's body is different. So whereas it may make one person drowsy, because it didn't used to make me drowsy, right? But also I would take, here was my personal combination. I would take Sharp and Chill at the same time. Sharp, thanks, I just threw this wig on today. Sharp is our energy capsule, right? So I would take my Chill and my Sharp together. And what that did was level me the fuck out. So I had energy, but I was also very chill at the same time. That's the combination that works for me. If you're taking Chill by itself, it might make you drowsy. So if you're only taking Chill by itself, I would suggest taking it at night. So the three things I was taking was Chill and Sharp and Shed. That is the perfect combination if you're using Chill during the day. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I said the wrong product. It is Shed that gives you the energy because that is our thermogenic capsule. Yeah. Sharp is for mental clarity and sharpness. I do not go a day without Sharp. If I go a day without Sharp, I don't know nothing. Don't talk to me. It's just a day that I'm going to sleep and not have any coherent conversations with anybody. Because it's like my brain is on vacation. Okay. If I leave this house driving my car and I don't have Sharp in my system, then I have, even with my GPS, I'm still fucking up. Even with my GPS, thank God Jordy's in the car because he's like, no, don't turn here, you turn there. I'm like, fuck. I didn't take my Sharp. Okay. But these days I've been on my Sharp every fucking day. Did I take it the other day? On the days that I know Jordy's going to drive and I'm not doing a live, I don't take it. I can just lay back and just be dumb. You said what? Those are the days my brain is like, I'm off duty today. Chill, Sharp, Shed. Let me see. Sharp. Let's see if I got a Chill. Chill. See if we got a Shed up here. Shed's probably in my room. Shed is probably in my room. Because I'm never too far from Shed. Yeah, it's in my room. But those are the three. They're all in the shop, okay? So hold on now. There's more. So your sleep will also improve. Once your body and your mind get on one accord and you start having that coherence. You said, can you take Chill if you're on BP meds? No, I wouldn't. Because I don't even take Chill when I'm on the meds and I'm coming up off of those. The reason is there are so many ingredients in the Chill that already drop your blood pressure. So it may make your blood pressure too low. And we don't want that. Okay. However, we do have the NeuroMelts. The NeuroMelts is just mushrooms. Okay. But it gives you a chill type of effect, but also mental clarity. I'm going to tell you what, our strip line, our strip line, especially these energy strips, I was dead tired before. I mean, I was literally going back and forth. Yes, it's great. Sharp is great for ADHD. But I was going back and forth like, am I going live today or am I going live tomorrow? Because I really need to get some sleep. And what I do is I take one, you only take one of these a day. These are our oral strips. And when I tell you that you put it on your tongue, you just press it against the roof of your mouth, 10 minutes later, you're up. I literally was laying on my bed because I had just taken my sheets off my bed to change my sheets. And I was laying on my bed in the fetal position. That's how tired I was. I was literally in the fetal position. Like, I don't think I can do it. And I said, Jordy, bring me one of those energy strips off the desk. Put it there. 10 minutes later, I was up, wired, doing what I'm doing. Here I am with y'all right now. So these, I think, work better than the Shed. Okay. So anyway, so once you start having coherence, then your blood pressure drops, your digestion improves, and your sleep improves. And it's not spiritual, that is neurobiology. Number 3, the truth restores agency. And agency is medicine. Agency is medicine. So make sure y'all tap the screen and type in the comments. If you have any questions about any of the products, let me know, okay? So oppression teaches helplessness. Y'all know how white people always try to make it seem like black folks are helpless? How they're always like, oh, you guys are such victims and da da da. Because oppression teaches helplessness. You know why we become helpless? Because you won't let us do anything. We're not free to do nothing. So we're always going to come off as fucking helpless. We're always going to appear fucking helpless. The truth teaches this pattern. This is the pattern we learned. This adaptation of looking helpless saved our lives. And also this can now be unlearned. Here's what y'all need to know going into this. Every single pattern that we have in our lives right now can be unlearned and retaught. The name of the strips is energy strips. Something that you guys will learn about us and our company and our products and the way we name them is they're very literal. I just wanted to keep it super simple. So the product will tell you what it does, like our Doze sleeping, Sharp mental sharpness, Shed self-explanatory, Ultra Omega kidney and liver support. Like they all tell you pretty much what they do. Okay. So these are energy strips. We have, I think, only 4 of the strips on the TikTok shop because others can't be on there. But I'm going to tell you, all the ones that we have tried are bomb. I just literally said to Jordy today, I don't know why our energy strips, they're going to end up being our number 1 product. So everything that our body knows today can be unlearned. That's what I need y'all to understand. It shows, hold on, you said it shows $35.99 and it said 27 with a coupon. Where do I get the coupon? Hold on, let me tell you. Hold on, let me show you. Going into my showcase. There's a little eye there. I think it happens when you check out. Hold on. Let me add it to the cart. So buy now. Yeah, it happens when you check out. It says you saved $12. I have a Shopify that. How much? Ooh, I have a Shopify. I have a TikTok balance of $102, which means I have a credit. Hold on. It says you got a $12 discount, and then you got shipping, which is $5.99, and you got taxes, which is $2.35. So it ends up being $36.33. It's at checkout. You just have to go through the process, boo-boo. And it says you left $12 discount behind. I know, boo-boo. I already have some chill. It's okay. It's okay. Hi, doing great. How are you? So we're talking about, hold on, let me get back to it. Truth restores agency. So what learning the truth now will do, okay, is tell you that this pattern is learned, that this adaptation, we had to adapt in order to save our lives. And this now can be unlearned. Agency turns the body from survival mode into repair mode. And in repair mode is where cells regenerate, hormones rebalance, immune systems calm, weight releases, inflammation drops. Just you learning the truth. Not a pill, not a capsule, not a prescription drug. The truth will do all these things in your body. Isn't that crazy? So healing cannot happen in the body that still believes it's powerless. And don't they all the time try to make us believe we're powerless? This is why we have a constant barrage of misinformation. This is why we have a constant barrage of these images where it makes us feel powerless as a people, as 99% of Americans. It makes us feel powerless. And that is to their cha-ching. What I'm telling y'all, they already know. Because let me make this very clear for you. There has never been a day that white people had their little dirty, unwashed feet on this land that they have not been surveilling us. Not one day. Not one day that their unwashed bodies have been wandering through our wildernesses had they not been to this day. That's why they know more about us than they know about themselves. Truth breaks inherited stress loops. This is our epigenetics. Here's the part that connects directly to this work that we've been doing. Trauma literally marks our genes. How these products work with diabetes. You'll feel better. But remember, you must in order for you to reverse your diabetes, you're going to have to eat for your blood type. Because at the root of all of this, as far as the food is concerned, you still have to eat according to your genetics, or nothing's going to change. Nothing. Okay. So the beautiful part about this is even though our genes are marked, Epigenetic marks can be reversed by awareness, which is crazy. So our epigenetics will change by awareness of our history and reminding ourselves that we are safe. Do you know how profitable it is for them to make us feel unsafe in this country? So I'm going to remind you again, everything that we're experiencing today is engineered. Every single thing that you're experiencing today is by design. As long as they make us feel unsafe in this country, it's making them money. Studies show when descendants of trauma survivors learn the history and process it emotionally, stress markers on certain genes begin to normalize. Didn't Jesus say, physician, heal thyself and the truth will set you free? That's what they said he said. But I don't believe that. I don't believe nothing white people tell me that Jesus said. I don't believe nothing that white people tell me. I'm going to let y'all sit on that for a second. Fats, get out of that window. Get out of that window. I'm going to let y'all marinate on that for a second. Fats, get out. Hey! Fats. I hope Fats doesn't commit suicide. What's up, Sean? What are you doing? How you doing? Fats. Fats! Get your ass out that window. Why not cuss at you? You are intelligent. Thank you, Timothy. He went right back over there. Jordan, close that window some before he commits suicide or something. Shit, I shouldn't have said that on the live. You know how they do me. Y'all know how they do me. Listen. I don't believe anything that white people have told us. Ever. It's not even taking a grain of salt. You said it's freezing in Florida? Not here. It's warm. Listen, it's for educational purposes only. How can you believe people that have lied to you every day? What you're saying is making it real to the bone. I'm telling you. How? The way that these people still get away with the shit that they get away with is simply because we are so fucking gullible. The problem is we don't believe they are this diabolical. Your mind will not allow you to accept that there are these people walking on the same earth that you walk on that are this diabolical. This is why y'all having such a hard time accepting all that Epstein shit. Because you're like, oh my God, they said that they're eating the baby. They've been eating the babies. Y'all know that. It's just that the babies were black. The only shocking part about what it is that y'all are learning about these depraved motherfuckers today is that they're white people perpetrating these acts against other white people. So how many videos did I see today that Mr. So-and-so with the island didn't want black girls on the island? Do you think that that's by accident? Do you think it's just because they don't like chocolate It's because it's already been done to us for 500 years. Every coast them motherfuckers have landed on, they have done the same exact things. Whether that was in motherfucking Brazil, Costa Rica, any place the goddamn Spaniards landed, they was doing the same shit. And all of that is in the fucking book. This is all the shit they glossed over in history class. They never talk about the sexual violence and the sexual terror that was imposed and put on us as a people, our children and our men. They never talk about that part. Because why? Silence. Why? Shame. They made a habit, and it was part of the manipulation to break Black men specifically. And how do you internalize that? How do you still carry that shit centuries after the deed has been done? Because you feel ashamed. Because your mind is like, not me, not me. You were molested. You were raped too. That was not a female thing. We all were raped. None of us were safe. It is a tactic. It is labeled. It is part of the conditioning. And all of that is broken down in the book. And the scars it left behind physically and in our nervous systems. So Black men are still walking around today with that exact same lack of safety, feeling at any moment they're either going to be swung from a tree or laying spread eagle on the fucking ground. And you are triggered every fucking day by seeing these white motherfuckers walking around every day. Now, you know why you're triggered? Because of the shit I'm telling you. Because your body remembers. You hang around white people and you're thinking, you're inside, deep inside you, your body is telling you something ain't right about you hanging around with these motherfuckers. You still do it anyway. Then you marry him. That's your issue, not mine. When descendants of trauma survivors learn the history and process it emotionally, stress markers on certain genes begin to normalize. Meaning, learning the truth doesn't just heal you, it can change how your grandchildren's nervous systems are wired. So that means this work that we are doing today, if you are already a parent, needs to be done with your kids in order to save your grandkids from going through what we are going through today. This work can't be done on you alone. It has to be done on your kids as well. Because what is the point of your kids growing up with inaccurate history that still leaves them vulnerable to these diseases the way we are vulnerable to these diseases today? What is the fucking point? Knowing the truth is how we break these generational inheritances. I'm not even going to call them what y'all call them, generational curses. It's not a curse. It's generational inheritances of trauma. So it can change your grandchildren's nervous systems and how they are wired. This is what is known as ancestral medicine. Okay. Number 5, the truth connects us to the body instead of fighting it. We have been fighting our bodies all this time. Almost as if your body has a mind of its own. Because it does. Jordan, give them snacks if you let them out. Oh, okay. So our bodies and our minds are not on one accord because our body remembers and our mind is trying to shield us. In order for us to get up every goddamn day and go and work with these motherfuckers and tap dance and smile on their face because you got to keep that fucking job just to pay your bills, right? Don't you? In order for you to be able to do that, your mind has to shield you from what your body already knows. And when I tell you that that shit is exhausting, you know it. Why are you tired every day? Because you got to go out here and play the role, don't you? When people don't know the truth, they fight their bodies. My body is broken. My cravings are bad. My anxiety is wrong. But truth teaches your body is not malfunctioning. Your body is remembering. And once you respect the body, instead of punishing it, like with your little fasting and all these other things that you've been convinced is what we supposed to do to our bodies to feel better, all that bullshit that y'all done bought into. They done told us every single thing we need to do to feel better except examine the fucking truth. They done invented pills, diets, procedures, therapy. They have invented all of these things except the truth. If they wanted us to be better, they would have given us the truth a long time ago rather than burying it, rather than erasing it. That in and of itself should tell you they don't want us to be better. They don't want us to be healed. We are just a necessary evil to them. Because once you get this information in you, especially volume 2, you will realize how invaluable we are to their literal survival. You do not surveil, you do not become obsessed with people that aren't valuable. You don't try to lock away people that don't have value. You don't try to keep people enslaved that provide no value to your life. You don't exert that much energy. Every aspect of white life depends on black life. In order to be white, there has to be black. Otherwise, it means nothing. Right? If there were no black people, white would have no value. That's what Europe was. That's what Europe was. Europe was white on white. That is why everything in Europe is based on class. And what they did when they came to America was they put away with the class and they invented race. Because when they noticed that the poor whites were fighting beside the poor blacks, they had to create something that distinguished us from one another. And that was black and white. all people are the same on the inside. We're not. We're not the same on the inside. That's just another gaslighting term. That's another gaslighting term. We're not. We're physically not the same on the inside. We're not. Whenever white people say that we're all the same on the inside, you're being gaslit. I want y'all to know that. That's why the 50 top most used gaslighting terms are in the book. Because we're not the same. If we were the same on the inside, we would be doing the same things on the outside. If our brains were rewired the way your brains were rewired, we would be behaving the same way you behave. Marinate on that for a second. If we were all the same on the inside, we would all be as depraved as you are. We would be as narcissistic as you are. You will be as diabolical as you are. But we're not. The name of the book is Both Sides of the Whip. The Irish knows. The Irish knows. The English knows. They all, Europeans all know about classism because that's how their whole system worked. And what they did, they sailed, they got on a boat because they were told that they're the second wave of immigrants, right? We're told, hey, there's this land where class doesn't exist. There's this land of opportunity. The land is wide open and free. Nobody owns it. You can just go and stake your claim. This is what they were told. So the dregs. Now think about it for a second. Why would a rich white person leave Europe and start all over from the beginning in America? Why? Why would you leave your fucking castles in Europe to come here and rough it? That's like leaving your fucking house and going and living in a fucking trailer. Would you leave your house to go and live in a tent? No. The people that were on those boats were the dregs of humanity in Europe. They were the lowest of the low that they put on a boat and said, good fucking luck. And those motherfuckers sailed around until they discovered some land. And the land that they discovered wasn't even the States. It was the Caribbean. Hi. Not all of us think this way. Gaslighting term number 2. You do. Shut up. No, not me. Shut the fuck up. Yes, you. Nuh-uh. We don't think like that. We love all people. You don't. Shut up. So, number 6, truth gives identity back, and identity stabilizes the nervous system. What have we been told all this time? That we were brought here in chains, that we didn't own nothing, we were just slaves, and we were doing all this, that, and the other, bop, 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 woo, 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 woo. The lie. How does it benefit them to take away our identity? Put in the comments. Hi. List it in the comments. How does it benefit them to take away our history and our identity? Test question. What else does it do? What else does it do? Oppression fragments identity, the truth, because for them to take away our truth, it means that we feel unanchored to anything. Think of like when I lived in Nigeria and people would always say, "Oh, are you Nigerian?" And I'm like, "I don't know." For you to say that you don't know who you are, exactly, lost sovereignty to our land, to our birthright, to our land rights. We are just out here with no stability, no roots, no nothing. And then they gave us a narrative that wasn't true. You come from this mystery place in chains. The only reason that you're alive today is because your ancestors survived the Middle Passage and all of the abuse that they had to, the sexual abuse and the terror and all these things that they lived, they survived so that your ancestors can have them and them and them and them. They gave us an identity when we already had one. And the identity that they stole, they gave to somebody else. They gave to the motherfucking Siberians and then called them natives. What's the difference between the Afro-Indigenous that were already here and the very light-skinned Indians from Siberia that also owned slaves? They were working in cahoots with the colonizers to enslave and export us. See, the part that they never talk about in the history books, you always hear about the transatlantic slave trade and you always hear about the Middle Passage, but you never hear about the second passage, the exportation of the Afro-Indigenous. You never hear about that. They exported more people than they imported. They exported us to the Caribbean, to Brazil, and to all of those Spanish-run countries. Mexico. They exported us. You only hear the one side where they brought people across from Africa. That's the only story we've ever been told. They never told us that they were rounding us up, because if they would have told us that they were rounding us up and exporting us, then right there is the proof that we were already here before they came. How the fuck are you rounding up and exporting the people you just imported? So you mean to tell me that you imported some black folks and then you set them loose and then you turned around and exported them to other countries? That math is also not mathing. Think about what I fucking just said. If they would have told us the truth about them exporting black people, where do people come from? Where they get people to export if they're importing blacks? Where'd they get them? Where'd they come from? Put in the comments where you think they came from. You got enough motherfuckers to export into millions, to export into other. So if you were going to export them into other countries, why the fuck did you bring them here? When you were closer to these other countries, why the fuck you bring them here? If you were just going to load them back up on boats, why you bring them here? Can somebody make sense of it on any of the platforms? Anybody got any answers? Got any answers? Houseway. You don't have no answers, do you? Your body knows. Your body knows the truth, but your mind is still trying to make sense of the misinformation and the miseducation that we had. This is why your mind and body are not on one accord, and they know that. Oppression fragments identity. Truth restores lineage, purpose, dignity, coherence. And identity is one of the strongest regulators of mental and physical health. Exactly. They didn't want us to continue fighting for this land because it's not our land. We were brought here. People with stable ancestral identity have lower depression, lower autoimmune disease, stronger immune response, and better longevity. So by keeping us nationless, right? By severing us from our roots. And then they gave you the narrative that they severed you from these African roots, and we never had no goddamn African roots. They made us believe we were connected to a place we never been or hadn't been for thousands and thousands of years. So all this time, we're floating around with no nation to be rooted to. Because they know that if we know where we came from, and where we came from is right where the fuck we're standing right now, we're going to continue to fight. But here's what they also never told us. We fought from the day they brought their nasty, ashy, unwashed asses up upon our shores. We have been fighting these motherfuckers. There was never a time that we were not fighting. To this fucking moment, we just had to learn how to fight a different fucking way. We didn't take their shit. We didn't just say, there's some people coming and they're probably going to want our land, so we may as well just give it to them and put on their little shackles and serve them for the next 400 fucking years. That ain't how that shit went down. It literally did. You know how you hear that it took 7 nations to bring us down? There's that. That shit is true. It's in the book. So, when you start learning your tether, people with stable ancestral identity, even the Africans that were imported here, even the Africans that were imported had identity. It's only the Afro-Indigenous that didn't. And that's what makes us special. Nobody else on this planet was denied their identity but us. Why do y'all think that is? Even the Africans have an identity. They know where they are from. They know the village, they know the city, they know the state, they know the country. The only ones that were never to know where they were from was the people that were already here. And my theory is the reason they're trying to get rid of these natives is so they don't have any evidence that any of us was here before them. Because as long as Black people stay brainwashed, especially through this Christianity and all this other bullshit that they have put on us, they can go back and say that we were never here. Nobody was ever here but them. So 100 years from now, 200 years from now, when they look back at history, it's just going to be completely whitewashed. Just white. That's the design. That's the whole thing that they're trying to do. Put us all back in chains. That's what prisons are for. So that's documented. That identity is one of the strongest regulators of mental and physical health. That is documented science, boo-boo. Truth heals because the body cannot finish a healing process it was never allowed to understand. Your body will never heal unless it knows what the trauma was. Black illness, stress, anxiety, and disease are not random. They are the biological and psychological result of history, trauma, miseducation, and survival adaptation. When we understand how we got here, we can finally choose how to heal. You're asking your body to heal from something it doesn't even know that is at the root of the ailment. And that's what doctors do. They don't try to get to the root of the ailment. They just try to treat the symptoms that the ailment causes. I saw a video today that was very interesting. And it was this old white man who was a therapist, and he was talking about his 35 years of expertise in doing trauma therapy with people that had narcissistic families. And all of the habits that he listed were all things that Black people go through. But he was blaming it on these people's families instead of blaming it on what it really was from. And it was really from 400 years of oppression. So when you think about all of the systems in this country that were created, they were all created because of us. Hi. All of the systems were created because of Black people. Every last one of them. Every one of them. To keep us down, but ultimately free labor. Free labor, free slaves by turning Black women's wombs into factories. So this frames everything. No blame, no victim mentality, no just eat better nonsense. Instead, it gives us context, compassion towards ourselves, and correction. So the roots of the body. Wait, where is my, hold on, I need. What we never knew was what were we eating before the boats? How history became biology. The indigenous Black American origin story that was written out, that was edited, where the story really begins. Long before European sails cut the horizon, Black copper-toned nations lived, traded, engineered, governed, and defended land across what is now called the Americas. Mounds rose from the Mississippi Valley. Copper moved from the Great Lakes into continental trade networks. Stone monuments were carved and transported with precision that required mathematics, labor, organization, and long memory. We were not waiting to be discovered. We were already home. What came later were names: Negro, Indian, slave, African. Labels applied not to describe us, but to reclassify us. These were legal inventions, not ancestral truths. They served a single purpose: to sever identity from land and people from history. This chapter does not argue that no Africans ever came to the Americas. It argues something more disruptive. There were Black people here before Europe arrived, and their presence was systematically erased. To understand how, we have to begin with what existed before the ships. And that's what volume 1 of Both Sides of the Whip illustrates. The history we were never taught. Whether the Olmecs were indigenous Black Americans, Africans who arrived so early they became indigenous, or members of a broader ancient Black world, one truth remains: Black presence in the ancient Americas is not hypothetical. It is documented, debated, and deliberately minimized. Early European chroniclers described encountering dark-skinned people in fortified towns who farmed, governed, and defended territory. These descriptions are not modern reinterpretations. They are recorded in European journals. There are all of these early explorers that all described us the same way. So before the ships, what was daily life in America for us? Before European contact and the transatlantic slave trade, indigenous life across the Americas was not a single culture, but there were shared patterns that shaped how bodies lived, ate, worked, rested, and healed. We have our own record keepers. It's just that our history has been passed down orally. This is also why they be trying to attack Black women, because we are the record keepers of our communities. When we die, our history dies. What's most important to understand is this: life was organized around balance, not extraction. That one principle changes everything. The rhythm of the day, not the clock. We did not subscribe to a clock. We lived by a rhythm. There were no clocks, there were cycles. Daily life followed the sun, the seasons, the land, the body's needs. People woke up with daylight. They slept when their body was tired. Rest was not earned, it was expected. There was no concept of productivity as moral worth. You see how we've been Excuse me, sir. What's up? Rude. There was no concept of productivity as moral worth. And we've been brainwashed into believing that the harder we work, the more valuable we are. This is why you feel guilty taking a nap. because you don't believe that rest has been earned. You got to always be moving. That was ingrained in us. That was put in us. Yeah, we're lazy. That's another gaslighting term. When in all actuality, you got to be one lazy motherfucker to enslave a whole race of people because you are too goddamn lazy to do the fucking work yourself. So historically, who the fuck is lazy? Fats, get out of here. Go lay down. Go. So who the fuck is lazy? Hold on. Your value was not tied to output. That alone is a massive nervous system difference. Work was physical, but not punishing. Work was purposeful, communal, seasonal, varied. People did not repeat the same motion for 12 to 16 hours a day. A single day might include gathering food, preparing meals, repairing tools, teaching children, storytelling, resting, ceremony, movement. This variety mattered. It prevented repetitive stress injuries, chronic cortisol elevation, psychological dissociation. No one was forced to work through illness, pregnancy, or grief. Bodies were listened to. How often do y'all actually listen to your body? Your body has been talking to you all this time. I've been saying it for years, that every ailment that you're suffering from is your body's way of communicating. If your body is reacting with inflammation and all these other things, it's because it's trying to tell you something. God is, and they turned it into God. They turned it into God. They made you believe that something outside of yourself, outside of your own body, is trying to tell you something. When this entire time, it's been your own body trying to tell you something. God is trying to tell you. No, you are trying to tell you something. But you've been taught not to listen to yourself because that's dangerous. So they gave you something else to listen to. Christianity. That's also in the book. Food. Regular, local, unprocessed, adequate. You said exactly. Women like us going through menopause. Do you know that white women go through menopause earlier than we do? No, they're not ready, Ms. Zion, but you know what? There's never going to be a time in anyone's life where you're going to say, I'm ready for knowledge. Thank you. There's never a time in life where you're going to be ready. You can't just brace yourself for history. The problem is, motherfuckers be waiting to be ready for shit. You're never going to be fucking ready to learn the truth about nothing. Because the minute you learn some truth about something, things have to change. Hey, Joe. The minute you learn the truth about something, it requires change. And most of y'all don't want change. You too scared. You scared of the unknown. You would rather cling to the bullshit than to learn the truth and make the adjustments. Tap the screen and share the live. I'm going to turn off this Instagram because ain't nobody over here. Come over on TikTok, please. Okay? You ain't doing nothing but using up my internet. The name of the book is Both sides of the whip. So we're not just telling you what happened to black people. There are history books that tell that. We're telling you what happened to the white people. We're telling you what big, because remember, remember my original question. Remember my original question months ago? Remember my original question? If it has been proven that this trauma has been passed down from generation to generation in black people, what the fuck has been passed down in white people? Remember? That's the truth that's in both sides of the whip. White people need to read this book just as much as black people do, because white people don't know how they were invented. You were invented, not like created, like, you know, the rib from the guy that made the women. No. You were invented, not created. There's a difference between being invented and created. We were created. You were invented. Before the ships, food systems were stable and familiar, even during hardship. Food was medicine, not metaphorically, but practically. There was no constant hunger stress. That's critical. What we ate before the boats. Here in the Americas, Afro-Indigenous and foundational black communities lived from the land itself. Their food came from systems that had been refined over thousands of years. Please go sit the fuck down, Fats and Linka. All day. All motherfucking day. Just in the background of my life. Rest! God damn it! Sit down! Where are you going? Where are you going? They go outside and do their business. They do not frolic. They do not frolic outside. They go outside like, yeah, we got this nice big backyard to shit in. And they come inside. They run up and down the steps, chasing each other all day. Or they're at the window barking. Ah, I see people. Wah, 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 wah. We got a yard so they could go out there and play. Not once without me has there been frolicking in the backyard. So anywho, at the center of many communities was what indigenous nations called the Three Sisters. Okay. The Three Sisters was corn, real corn, which is maize. Okay. The corn we eat today, or that has been thrust upon us, you better go lay down. You better go lay down. Go get on the bed. Yeah. The corn that has been thrust upon us in all these different ways today, the same corn that stops your body from making insulin today. Remember, the reason that no one benefits from eating corn is because it literally stops the body from creating insulin. So on my page, Miss Stabby Unicorn, it's on my page. To get to my page, you click my name here at the top. When the little white thing pops up, hit my face, takes you to the page. There is something there that is clickable. I'm gonna need y'all to. I gotta talk in code. So hold on. So the corn back then was protein and amino acids. The corn we eat today has absolutely no nutritional value whatsoever. So the three things that sustained our life and our good health and our good metabolism was corn, which is maize, beans, and squash. That was the foundation of our food. Okay. But this modern day corn that we eat today, back then the corn was soaked, it was fermented, and it was stone ground in mineral ash or lime. Hey, Lourdes. What this process did was it removed toxins, it unlocked the nutrients, it stabilized our blood sugar, and protected the gut. Modern day corn fucks up our blood sugar. Back in the day, corn stabilized our blood sugar. Isn't that crazy? They know what this fake corn is today. They know what it does in our bodies. They know it's no good for us. Yet they put it in everything. Corn syrup, corn oil, vinegar is made from corn. Just those three things alone is in every processed food you have in your house. Alcohol is made from corn. All of, and y'all be the first ones to say it's GMO. It's been genetically modified. It is. It's animal feed. They're not unaliving us. They're making us sick. Because there's no money in that. There's no money in us dying. The money is in us remaining sick, and they get to treat the symptoms for years and years and years. Okay. So corn, beans, and squash together formed a complete protein and slow burning energy source that fed the body without spiking the insulin. Isn't that crazy? So root vegetables were a daily staple. Sweet potatoes, yams, arrowroot, cassava in the Caribbean and Central America. These foods healed the digestive tract, nourished the pancreas, and kept hunger steady. Wild greens were medicine. So dandelion greens, lamb quarters, nettles, chicory, purslane. These plants were rich in magnesium, potassium, iron, and folate, the exact minerals that protect the heart, calm the nervous system, and prevent high blood pressure. Fresh protein came from the rivers, the forest, and the coastlines. Fish, oysters, and shellfish, turkey, venison, rabbit. These foods supplied omega-3 fats, iodine, zinc, and selenium, and these nutrients that protect the thyroid, regulate metabolism, support fertility, and stabilize the mood. All of this came from the land, not a can. Fruit was seasonal: berries, pawpaw, persimmon, wild grapes, plums. Sweetness came from fruit, honey, and small amounts of maple syrup, never refined sugar. There was very little salt. Okay, this is before they arrived and started pumping salt into our bodies. Salt has done more damage to our bodies, to our internal organs, than any other mineral, than any other spice, than any other whatever. Salt has done more damage to the black body than any other thing. Because after 400 years of a salt diet, our bodies adapted. So the first thing that it did was it literally, our kidneys evolved, our pancreas evolved. So now we're literally born with salt sensitivity. We're already born with high levels of sodium in our kidneys, simply because of how they used food as a weapon. Because the first thing they did when they got here was destroy our food systems. So they replaced all these things that I just said that we were eating for thousands of years with salted pork. Pork was not indigenous to America. Pork was brought here from Europe for that specific reason. Christopher Columbus had pigs. He brought pigs. And the other Europeans brought their pigs with them. It became the staple on the plantations. It became the staples. And the only reason that you think pork is a white meat is because of an advertising campaign to make us believe that pork was white, when in all actuality, pork to this day is a red meat. The other foods were too expensive. Pork was inexpensive. Pigs eat anything. Pigs eat anything. So you can feed a pig anything, including humans. Mental and emotional life, expressed, not suppressed. Grief, joy, fear, and anger all had social outlets. They were rituals for loss, ceremonies for transition, storytelling for memory, movement, and song for emotion. People were not expected to carry trauma silently. There was no cultural reward for emotional numbness. That matters deeply when you talk about what later happened to the body. Also, the elders were central, not discarded. You see how in America they always discard people when they get old? Our elders were revealed. Why do you think they tried to get rid of the old people? Why is it that they want to get rid of the old people? Clock it. Exactly. Because the elders are the ones that know the history. In every generation, the elder is who knows the story. So if they kill off the elders, you never know where you came from. You never know the correct history. You have to buy into the narrative that they are selling you. So they teach you how to disrespect your elders, and you don't listen to your elders, and you don't revere your elders, and you don't look at your elders like they are the holder of your family's history. This is what y'all have been taught to do. This is why y'all so disrespectful to older people. You have been taught to be disrespectful to older people because in our former life, we revered them. Can't have that. Elders were not removed from our daily life. They were taught history. They mediated conflict. They guided decisions. They helped to raise the children. Their very presence stabilized the community. Aging was not a threat. It was an honor. How do white people treat aging? Put in the comments. White people have a built-in fear of aging. Just look around at everything that's going on in the world. They revere youth. That's who they want to with. The younger, the better. That's why they're so obsessed with being youthful. because they equate sex with youth. Because that's who you're attracted, that's who they're attracted to. That's the first thing out of a white man's mouth. First thing, wanting to trade in his wife for a new one. First thing. And the younger, the better. That's why white women are so paranoid about aging. Because they know they're going to age out of that contract, that protection contract. It was a protection. The reason white people are going crazy right now is because the contract has become null and void. The contract that they signed to be the protected group in America is now being null and void. They out here killing them too. They niggas too. They signed a contract to not be niggas too. And now they're niggas too. Boo-ba-doo-boo-boo-boo. Let's go. Let's fast forward. Let's fast forward to the world arrived. The ships did not arrive empty of culture. They carried more than weapons and trade goods. They carried a world view. To understand what unfolded in the Americas, it's not enough to examine the societies that were disrupted. We must also examine the societies that were exported. The world that arrived was shaped by hierarchy, scarcity, religious absolutism, and imperial competition. It was not uniform, it was not monolithic, but it shared core structural patterns, and those patterns mattered. Who were the first colonizers? Who were the first colonizers? If we're speaking specifically about sustained European colonization of the Americas, not the Norse exploration, these Vikings were exploring America thousands of years ago. Vikings exploring. And they landed here thousands of years before these Christopher Columbus motherfuckers came. But you know what they did? They fucking respected the natives. They fucking respected the Afro-Indigenous. They fucking respected our norms and our way of life. They did not come here and disrupt anything. It was the motherfucking Europeans that did it. The first major colonizing power was Spain. This was between the 1400s and the 1500s. So in 1492, Columbus sails under the Spanish crown. In early 1500s, established settlements in the Caribbean, Mexico, Central America, Florida, and South America. They bring soldiers, missionaries, settlers, and administrators. After Spain came Portugal. They were primarily in Brazil from the 1500s on up. Then came France in the 1600s. They settled in y'all. Here's where the manipulation starts. When they talk about this narrative that they brought all these people here and all this and the other, they were not telling us what they let us believe is North America. What they led us and allowed us to believe was that all of these people came into the United States of America, when in all actuality, they were in the other parts of America as a continent, not as a country. So that includes everybody that's in our region. Okay? That's where it gets convoluted on purpose. So France settled in Canada, the Louisiana Territory, and the Caribbean. That's why a lot of those places still speak French. That's why a lot of those places, primarily in Brazil and all those, still speak Spanish. That's why a lot of Spanish motherfuckers are in Florida. Then you had the Netherlands. In the 1600s, New Amsterdam, which later became New York, and the Caribbean. And then England, later Britain, came from the late 1500s and 1600s. They established Jamestown in 1607, Plymouth in 1620, and then expansion down the East Coast. That matters because motivations varied by the empire. They came for land, wealth, trade routes, and power. They did not come here because they were experiencing religious persecution and they wanted a place where they could freely work. That's not it. That's the lie. They came here because somebody was like, yo, there are all of, just like we still do to this day with other countries, there are all of the, good night, see you next time. There are all of these resources. There's all of these minerals. There's gold. There's oil. There's all of this shit we can take. Cherry on top, no classism, no hierarchy. So we're on the bottom here in this country, but over there we can be on the top. So here you are, this poor, dirty, throw your shit on the ground outside your fucking window English person. You get on the boat by hook or crook. You don't give a fuck how you got here. You will come indentured and sign a contract away for your labor for the next 4 to 7 years just so you can get your ass over here and have an opportunity, bitch. Rich people were not coming here. Scavengers came here. People willing to kill everybody here to get what they want. Those are the people that came here. And that they did. Hold on. Religion was part of it, but it was not the primary engine for most expeditions. Let's break this down. White folks come from a culture of hierarchy. By the time the Europeans began sustained colonization of the Americas, their societies were rigidly stratified. You had a king, then you had nobility, then you had clergy, then you had merchants, then you had peasants. Most people were born into their class and remained there. So there's no way for you if y'all go and look at any of these movies and shit, honey, we talking about well before Hitler. We are talking well before Hitler. We're talking about in the 1400s and 1500s. Hitler wasn't even thought about. Just talk about that. Y'all love to gaslight. Y'all love to gaslight. Okay. Everything about Europeans was class. If you were born a peasant, your ass stayed a fucking peasant. As a peasant, you are not allowed to marry nobility. Let me give you an example of that. Look at Prince Harry and Meghan. Y'all know why those white people have such a problem with Meghan Markle? Because in their minds, she's a peasant. Hi, thank you. I'm hopped up on my energy strip, so I have enough energy to tell y'all about the book that you need to go and get today. The reason they have such a problem with Meghan Markle is even before she's black, she's a peasant. Hey, Quinn, hi. She's a peasant. She doesn't come from a good, noble family. She's not his third cousin. That's the problem, that they have more of a problem with that than they actually do her race, because they equate race with poor. So if you want to have an example of how they were working before they came here and how they still work to this day, it's hierarchy. And the only thing that has changed that is the introduction of colored people. It's on my page right now. Just go to my page and it's clickable and you'll get it. It's called Both Sides of the Whip. And it gives accurate history about the oppressor and the oppressed. So this isn't just some one-sided, oh, woe is me, what happened to black people? Ooh. No. It's what happened to them motherfuckers before they got here and did the diabolical shit that they were doing and still are doing, as well as how their brains were cracked wide the fuck open from holding that whip. So we are on one side of that whip. We're the ones being whipped, and they're the ones doing the whipping. But the trauma coming from trying to uphold this hierarchy is what broke their fucking minds. Not only are they living a lie every single day, but they are trying to uphold the lie, and that's why they're fucking losing their shit right now. Hold on. Most people were born into their class and remained there. Land ownership was concentrated. Authority was vertical and obedience was expected. Power flowed downward. Punishment enforced order. So they learned how to, the way they are and the way that they came here was what they were experiencing themselves in England. So it's almost like the abused abusing people. The average European subject lived under systems they did not control. In such environments, hierarchy becomes normalized. It is not debated, it is assumed. So when this worldview encountered societies organized more like communally and relationally, the difference was often interpreted as disorder. So when you come from a society that's so fucking rigid in its practices, and you encounter these people, us, who were living communally, and our power was based on relationships and not hierarchy, in your mind, it looks like disorder. It looks like something that needs to be fixed. Because our society was so much more different, so much different from their society, they thought, oh, we need to be fixed because we're uncivilized. We done been on this earth for thousands of years, walking around motherfucking naked. Ain't nobody raping nobody. Ain't nobody doing all this crazy shit. And then here y'all come. People weren't viewed as sexual beings. They were just living life, minding their fucking business, raising their fucking kids. If land was not privately owned, it was perceived as unused. They came here to a place where we didn't have all of these strict laws and all of these strict rules as far as land ownership and things. So what they decided to do was